back, Operative. I'm glad to see that my previous video into the truth didn't put you off. That did get pretty heavy, didn't it? Remember, all I offer is the truth. Can I offer you a cup of liberty? No? Well, I'm having one. I'm lying. It's actually C4. I like my caffeine like I like my autocannons. Potent and probably lethal to other beings. Today's video explores the world of Advent and how seamlessly they have integrated systems of control and conformity into our lives. Considering how much of our society was already rigged up for that exact thing, it must have been a very pleasant surprise for the aliens, finding out how much of their work was already done for them. While it is never explained directly what Advent means, be it an acronym, some sort of religious overtone for the arrival of a Christ-like figure, those who herald in the new dawn, or some sort of other hidden meaning in an alien tongue, the point is clear. They're in charge now, so you better get used to it, Chuckles. At first, things are great. Beyond awesome. Your food is delivered, housing is provided for and assigned, employment and health benefits are universal, the streets are spotless, and the cities are sleek, clean, and futuristic. Humanity is ushered into a new post-scarcity utopia similar to my work at Angel's Refuge. You own nothing and are happy. Alien technology is brought in, granting extreme benefits to longevity and quality of life. Cancer vanished like smallpox. Old age, people live to 125 consistently. Crime, not in this neighborhood or literally anywhere else if they know what's good for them. Wars like the Russian aggression happening over Ukraine or the situation in Gaza stopped overnight because the ones demanding that they take place for some forced political reason aren't in charge anymore. And if they are very, very lucky, Advent might let them keep their seat as a symbolic, ceremonial position without enough state power to order a pizza. As an aside, this is what I would regard as one of the strongest benefits to life under Advent's rule. I would not mind at all seeing people like Putin, Netanyahu, or some members of our own administration get that badly needed promotion to janitor. No threats, no violence whatsoever. Just given a pack of crayons and put in a corner where they can't hurt anyone anymore. Famine, disease, war, in some cases even death. Gone, 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 and out of here. The four horsemen are given pink slips and told that they don't have to go home, but they cannot stay here. But nothing in life is truly free, and like any good farmer, Advent takes proper care of their livestock. We're not so much free as we are under new management. Oh yes, lock in, Operative. We're going dark places today. In most places, the surveillance doesn't truly stop. Those who step out of line are simply never heard from again. Which is probably the main reason why crime dried up the way it did. Because the criminals who used to commit it vanished. As if they fell off the face of the earth, and questions about their whereabouts are discouraged. That all sounds great until you start thinking about who sets the necessary criteria to designate which people are criminals and who benefits from having them disappear. As I said, we're going dark places today. If anything, the disappearances under Advent increased massively as compared to the first alien war era when they were operating from the shadows. They have state power now, and it's not that they don't feel the need to hide, it's that they can get away with blackbagging people in broad daylight in answer to no one. Courts, ignored. Laws, ink on a page. Politicians that raise an objecting voice, they better not do that for long if they want to keep their ceremonial position. Humanity isn't the one calling the shots here. Not anymore. Our world has become a pen for cattle. I see Advent as a thinly veiled metaphor for the current state of many governments in the world today. Those who claim to offer peace, safety, and progress should you fall in line with what is demanded of you. For some, that is enough. That if you just hate who the powers that be hate, your life will be wonderful and amazing. Jobs will be plentiful, hours short, pay high, benefits, nuclear families, busty, blonde, blue-eyed wives, and white picket fences for everyone. They always promise the world, don't they? keep your eyes focused on the immigrant that you're being told is taking your cookie, or the gay person, or the trans person, while ignoring the pack plays of the fat cats just out of view. Which government am I talking about exactly? It would be faster to name which among them isn't doing this. It's as a great wizard once said, the best way to bring people together is to give them a really good enemy. And if that doesn't work, give the populace just enough bread and circuses to not ask questions, or in our case, enough pizza and Netflix. Hey, it worked well enough for the Romans and all of their lead poisoning, and the combination of encouraging hate onto a conveniently designated scapegoat along with enough pizza and Netflix will allow even the most incompetent of regimes to maintain absolute control for a very long time. I think Goebbels would be impressed. For those who live an alternative lifestyle or are a member of a minority group, the veneer doesn't hold up and the mask cracks. The promises of safety and order swiftly become demands for conformity and silence. Think about it. Have you ever heard a politician run on a platform of law and order who didn't have a closet full of secret nasties? Nixon, Reagan, and Trump all ran on these concepts. How's that going for everybody? Are you objectively happy? No, really, I am asking a legitimate question. Did any of these three politicians make your life in any way better? Or did they just tell you that they did? In 2024, the Republican Party spent $215 million on attack ads going after my people. I mean, how could they resist? We're just such trendy scapegoats. At a population of 2.8 million of us that are out of the pod and identifiable, that comes to a total of between $77 and $134 per person, depending on which survey you consult. All to demonize our tiny, tiny minority. We're less than 1% of the population. We don't even have the institutional power to defend ourselves from people seeking to outright kill us. The gay trans panic defense is still legal in 30 states, including Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, mild shock, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Mississippi, Montana, Nebraska, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, surprising absolutely no one again, Utah, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. The map currently on screen showing like 10 portions is where all of this is still legal. So, what is this defense? The gay or trans panic defense is a legal strategy where a murderer claims that they were provoked into violence simply by discovering a victim's sexual orientation or gender identity. It says that our very existence is justification for violence, assault, even murder. Imagine legalized murder so long as you remove those deemed undesirable by the state. While there is no complete ledger, studies of various court cases have shown that in the situations where the gay or trans panic defense is invoked, about a third of the time it has resulted in a reduction of charges, as in from murder to simple manslaughter. There are even some situations where the defendants have walked out of the courtroom completely cleared of all charges after taking somebody's life. Let me put this to you in a more personal way so that you know that I've got some skin in the game. If my father, in his final moments, had decided that I deserved death more for the disrespect of being who and what I am, and a lawyer discovered my true identity as Pondera the Radio Angel, rather than being imprisoned for life, he would get between 2 and 5 years, and I would still be dead. What a wonderful legal system. Yes, I am bitter and very traumatized by how easily that awful affair could have gone the other way. Heck, we can barely keep the authorities off our backs enough so that we are not thrown in jail for felony gender fraud. I know the bill in Texas, HB 3817, was defeated, but if you think that they are done with trying to criminalize and erase my people, you're in for the rudest of possible awakenings. That same amount of money spent on anti-trans attack ads could have given thousands of children homes, fed several times that number, provided life-saving medicine for 11,000 people, or trained tens of thousands of counselors in suicide prevention. Suicides like what happened in Pennsylvania in the district of Senator Ryan Almond, where 5 trans youth ended their lives inside of 2 years. The YouTuber, Angry Gay Grandpa, protested this by entering the Pennsylvania State Chamber and gluing his hand to a railing. They attempted to charge him with institutional vandalism and criminal mischief. They also wanted him to pay for the damages of removing the glue, replacing a carpet, repairing wood trim, and buying a new chair that the glue had dripped on. Comes to about $16,575 in damages. Or $3,315 per trans youth suicide. What a fluffing bargain. One of these kids was 12 years old. That magnificent lie of protecting the children doesn't really hold up, does it? Especially since these same men who speak the loudest about the safety of children are the same that want to bury a certain client list regarding a magical mystery island that their minions swear up and down doesn't exist, like we just made it all up. These are the same people who make the deportation of children with stage 4 cancer a standard operating procedure, and while Senator Ryan Almond likely isn't involved with either of these 2 things that I just mentioned, he sure doesn't seem overly keen to speak up about it. They have state power now, and it's not that they don't feel the need to hide, it's that they can get away with blackbacking people in broad daylight in answer to no one. No, I did not repeat myself. Vision's recursive logic to point out that the occupiers of our world and the occupiers of XCOM's world are one and the same. Our lives, life itself, means nothing to them. If they can't get their bigoted minions to brutally murder us, they'll make living conditions so awful that we'll do the deed ourselves. This is the trans genocide perpetrated by our version of the Advent Council. The only people these thin men, these aliens, these speakers represent are themselves. And maybe those foolish enough to give their consent to be in control. That's what it's been about. It's what it's always been about. Power, control, conformity. But let's jump back to Advent here for just a moment and spare the bureaucrats of our world their well-deserved tongue lashing, just to give them a little break. Don't worry, we'll come back to him, I promise. What sets Advent apart from every other tin-pot dictator that wants his own fan club while he sits at the cool kids' table? What do they want from us? The truth is almost too horrible to mention. It's a bit of a spoiler, but we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of XCOM 2. I think the statute of limitations has passed on this kind of thing. This is very relevant to everything else that I want to talk about today, and really, I don't see a way to avoid it. When I said that nothing in life is free, that doubly applies to Advent. They care little for our money or even our resources. The ethereals, or elders, live on such an elevated level of technology and psionic mastery that the rest of us can't even imagine it. What they want from us is us. Specifically, our genetic material. The sad fact of the matter is that the ethereals suffer from a degenerative disease that has withered their bodies to such a degree that their blood needs to be psionically circulated because the withered, black, decayed hearts are too weak to do the job, and they exist in a delicate state where a stiff breeze is enough to bring about their demise. You saw a glimpse of them in the first video, shown here. Without their fancy robes, they look like this. They're gaunt, almost like they're starving, like butter spread over too much bread. They have journeyed the cosmos in a desperate search for another form of life that is genetically compatible to them while still retaining psionic potential so they can continue their way of life. They are textbook examples of a Buddhist concept that all suffering is brought about through craving and clinging. Craving more power, more control, more life, more psionic might. Advent is not as advanced as they think that they are, in that they are just like every other dictatorship this world has ever seen. The cup they have chosen to fill has no bottom. They still continue to cling to the fading embers of life when it is painfully clear that their time has long since passed. They had a fantastic run, but through overdevelopment of psionic power, dabbling in genetic manipulation, a retroviral plague, or just simple, pure cosmic dad luck, it's over now. They are staring down the barrel of death my own age, and they don't like it. So they sought out an alternative. On Earth, they found it. When the player discovers this in their playthrough, those missing persons reports near every mission where a gene clinic is present suddenly become a lot more chilling. Someone goes in for what is supposedly a routine medical procedure, their genetics serve as a match for an ailing elder, and they just disappear. Questions discouraged, reports buried, and if you push too hard, well, you're related to that same person, aren't you? You have the same genetic material. You could be next. What if I told you that it's not science fiction? What if I told you that that kind of thing is happening in real life right now? The organ harvesting practices of the Chinese Communist Party have long been known of and discussed, but nobody seems overly keen to do anything about that. Something Advent probably learned during the early days of the takeover is that justice in human societies often falls to the highest bidder. And if you have enough money, you not only get to write the laws, but determine who they apply to and when, if ever. I have to sometimes wonder if the Ethereals came to immensely dislike humanity and its many hypocrisies and failures, or maybe they just take dark amusement in how easy we made it for them to do all of this. Within China, certain groups are overwhelmingly targeted for this dark harvest. Political dissidents, Uyghur Muslims. Strangely enough, there have not been an awful lot of LGBTQ plus targetings, but I see the darkness in that lack of evidence. There's not enough people left to file reports and stage resistance, or they are terrified to come out of that pod and be seen. After all, they could be next. Oh, yeah, and, overwhelmingly Falun Gong practitioners. What is Falun Gong? I don't blame you for not knowing about this one. It's a spiritual practice that showed up in China in the early 90s, combining the concepts of various meditation exercises like Qigong or Tai Chi, some Buddhist and Taoist moral traditions, and concepts like truthfulness and compassion. Oh, yeah, that last one is really gonna miff off the powers that be. Even making a statement of how you hold such values would irritate the dark hearts of those who know that they don't. The end effect of all of this persecution and scapegoating of yet another minority group with less than 1% of the population is that if you start doing stretches, yoga, or meditation exercises in public, the Chinese authorities are gonna start looking at you funny. Hey, I just said that it's happening to the point that the CCP has mobilized entire diplomatic missions, realigned their state media apparatus, and staged covert influence operations specifically to discredit Falun Gong on the global stage. I did not say that any of this was to make sense. But why go through so much effort? What's the point? Are they insane? Are they stupid? Well, yes, but the root cause is a lot more base than you might first suspect. Would you believe jealousy? Before the 1999 ban in China, there were about 70 million Falun Gong adherents, which surpassed the CCP's official membership at the time of 65 million. The scale of practice groups with tens of thousands of people gathering in parks to meditate was unsettling. And for such a movement to grow outside of party control. Look, when politicians secure their power like prom queens, and everyone starts paying attention to the new girl at school with the great skin, lovely personality, and interesting philosophy, the currently residing prom queen is going to view that as a threat and start looking for buckets to fill with pig blood. The CCP has gone to an enormous degree of trouble to brand Falun Gong as some sort of apocalyptic cult, which it isn't. That's just propaganda window dressing to make the actions of the authorities seem justified. What actions? Oh, don't worry, I'll get back around to that in a moment, I promise. You can witness the same effect with the far right in America trying to brand my people as groomers when there are literal mountains of evidence to support the accusation that the biggest threat to the health and safety of children are religious leaders. Right up there with police and underachieving gym teachers from Super Texas, according to whoismakingnews.com. Link is in the description below if you want to see the numbers for yourselves. There are similar mountains of evidence to imply that the most angry, violent people in my country currently? Far-right extremists. The Department of Justice tried pulling that report back so that they can quietly delete it, but you can't stop the signal. And I am rather adept at unearthing the lies scumbags who see themselves as the new Ministry of Truth perpetrate. Just in case you all forgot that Super Earth is a satire of America. Take note of their excuses, dear listeners. Authoritarians always seem to have one, but it all boils down to some variation of, I don't like you. You disagree with me. Or my personal favorite, I don't actually have the answers to any of these problems, so I'm just going to tell my followers that you are the problem because it's easier. The point is that all of these disinformation smear campaigns, all this effort, all of this money has been spent to keep people's eyes locked on the scapegoat that has no real ability to defend itself, specifically so that the Chinese Communist Party may eagerly, efficiently, and openly practice organ harvesting based on the criteria of, the party doesn't like you, but it sure loves what is inside of you. For most of the rest of the world, wait times for organs are measured in years, with 1 to 2 years for a liver transplant and 3 to 5 years for a kidney, sometimes longer for a heart. In China, that wait time is 1 to 2 weeks.
They're slaughtering us, Doctor. What could be worse?
At its heart, XCOM 2 is a story about the struggle for survival against a dark authoritarian regime hell-bent on consuming the very life essence of humankind in an effort to keep an aging ruling class going who ditched their moral compass a long time ago because they live in constant fear of the march of the Reaper. Are we talking about the ethereals here, the CCP, or is this a broader metaphor for the aging population of the boomer generation that is now succumbing to the patient predator of Alzheimer's? You tell me. As of the time of writing this broadcast, the average age of someone born in the baby boom era is 70 years old. That same generation makes up 58% of the world's current heads of state. Their time has long since passed, but they can't accept that, so they will gladly, eagerly, and happily tear the organs out of somebody else just so they can live a little bit longer. Even if it's not legally permitted in their own countries, China will happily provide that service. After all, they wouldn't go through all of this trouble if there was not a sufficiently large customer base, would they? And you all thought the Magical Mystery Island files were the greatest scandal of our generation. I am more interested in seeing which politician got a CCP-certified organ transplant versus those who went on a extended off-the-books vacation. Not to say that the contents of the pedo files aren't bad, but those girls are still alive and may come to testify one day, liberty willing. The Chinese organ harvesting industry has claimed the lives of over 8,000 people per year, and that's just the numbers my capable paws were able to acquire. The actual number is probably much, much higher. The game doesn't stop there, and I'm not talking about XCOM at the moment, because even if you are lucky enough to not be consumed with the dark harvest, the powers that be will eagerly use you up as labor in life. Is the real reason why wages have not kept up with inflation. To these people, you are not a person. Your life is an investment that the authorities want to see a return on. It's an awfully alien point of view, isn't it? Almost like it was dreamed up by somebody who doesn't readily understand how humanity works. In the movie The Matrix Matrix, it is said that combined with a certain type of fusion, human bodies provide the machines with all of the energy they will ever need. Even from a science fiction point of view, that makes utterly no sense. But if you see it as a metaphor for the rat race of capitalism keeping everybody working, producing value, spinning the wheel, all to generate profit, power, and resources for an elite ruling class that are very, very comfortable where they live at the top, a class that wants to keep on living at the top and may or may not need to afford an organ transplant someday? Oh, wow. Oh, that makes a lot more sense now, doesn't it? In fact, the entire first movie of The Matrix is packed to the brim with queer coding, and it's absolutely wonderful. I highly advise that you all go see it. Oh, and you know how right-wingers stole the term red pilling? Yeah, that's a strati, old champ. You've been taking estrogen this whole time. Ask me how I know that. Have fun with that knowledge, just one of the many services that I provide. In an ideal world, labor-saving technologies would be seen as a gift from on high, allowing us more time to hone our skills, develop our hobbies, or ponder the mysteries of the universe. Instead, they are raged against because people fear losing their livelihoods. I said as such when I spoke on the value of AI with my friend Electo and its power to completely transform our society. The anti-AI crowd, they are desperately afraid of no longer being the favorite slave to those who profit with every turn of the wheel. The technology was never the problem. The system was. And that is what Advent represents. Authority, exploiting you, wringing you dry for every last drop, and then ripping your organs out and tossing your withered husk into a mass grave when your corporeal shell finally gives up and you can't work anymore. Happens to everybody. And if you don't believe anything that I have said thus far, use your own eyes and come to your own conclusions. It's literally being tried out in China as we speak with the 996 system. That being 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. On paper, it is illegal, with the Supreme People's Court declaring such in 2021. In practice, it is heavily encouraged, with enforcement from authorities being questionably lax if it is present at all. It is, as I said, taking every last drop from you that they can, and then harvesting your bodies just to keep the ruling class going a little bit longer. The added insult to injury is that when one among my community suffers an ignoble early end, their gravestones more often than not still list their dead name. In 2020, Nico Lang penned an article for Us.them called 7 trans women were killed over 5 weeks. Each was dead-named by police and media. Link is in the description below. They won't even allow us dignity in death. How are these things, treatment of transgender people in America, related to the treatment of workers and organ harvesting in China? Because it's all the same system. Customer and provider. If you don't think that these world leaders are talking to one another and comparing notes, you are cripplingly naive. The rulers of our world are Advent, and Advent are the rulers of our world. They are one and the same, and their grip is like iron. They are all about assimilation, conformity, and the erasure of difference. I imagine that some among them might not like me speaking on this topic, not to the level of yelling orders into telephones like they do with Anonymous, but I certainly won't be receiving a Christmas card in the mail. Power does not like wrong think. Power punishes wrong think. I feel this is also the reason why Advent blends several different forms of propaganda together in the maintenance and establishment of their rule. They have brought peace to the conquered in a very Pax Romana kind of way, and they tend to dehumanize their opposition as shadows, traitors, and less than human filth in a way that would make Germany very proud. They claim to have spared us the chaos of the old world, sending similar to Mao's Great Leap Forward. Every citizen is assigned labor, a role, and provisions in a from each according to their ability, to each according to their needs style, and they speak with a single single, united voice that leaves very little room for questioning or doubt. The speaker, who is obviously an alien. Just look at his neck. That's a thin man wearing a skin suit, sweeties. Don't stare at him too long. He'll spit venom at you out of his eyes like a toad. I've seen him do it. There are times when I wonder whether or not our world is really under foreign occupation. Not by literal aliens, mind you, but by being so utterly alien to the concepts of human compassion that they might as well be from another planet. But that's enough for now. I've probably harshed your worldview enough that you might be as anti-establishment as I am. I have often felt that the greatest scam ever performed on the human race is that those who plant their butts in the throne tricked us all into seeing that throne as necessary for society to function. I feel like I have driven the hope from you. In the next video, I plan on putting that help back. Because that's what I do. Our people have been persecuted for almost as long as civilization has existed, since that very first day when the village elders saw two people of the same sex holding hands, exchanging a kiss, or sharing a quiet moment together. And we have gotten very, very good at survival. When times are at their darkest, look for the rainbow in the dark. We're there. We've always been here.